They found a body in the back of his Tesla. A 15-year-old girl. Decomposed beyond recognition. And the car was registered to one of the biggest rising music stars on the entire internet. The same guy your little cousin was quoting on TikTok 6 months ago. The same guy who opened for SZA. The same guy Fortnite handed a whole in-game collab to. The same guy whose songs are still, at this very moment, sitting inside Invincible and Arcane, being streamed by millions of people who have no idea what he was allegedly ordering off Amazon while a child was rotting in the trunk of his car. Chainsaws. A body bag. A burn cage. Under a fake name. While he was on stage. While he was smiling for cameras. While the algorithm was pumping his songs into every edit on your feed. Listen up, friends, buckle in, because what I'm about to walk you through is going to change the way you look at that wholesome internet boy narrative forever. This is the David case, and by the time we're done, you're going to understand why the internet is calling this the darkest celebrity fall of the decade, and why every red flag was sitting in plain sight, in public, for almost 2 years, while the entire internet scrolled past. Let me back up. Because to understand how sinister this whole thing gets, you have to understand who David actually was before September of 2025, before the Impound lot, before the LAPD, before the tattoos matched up, before a 15-year-old girl's family found out about her the way no family should ever find out about their child. David wasn't born a music artist. David wasn't even supposed to be a music artist. David was a Fortnite kid. That's it. That's the origin story. From 2017 straight through 2021, David was uploading gameplay clips, montages, and building edits onto his Little David gaming channel, chasing the same dream every teenager on YouTube was chasing back then, become the next Kason, become the next big streamer, become anybody. In his own words, he said he was grinding Fortnite and Call of Duty trying to become the next thing. And David admits it himself, plain as day, in that Benny Blanco interview, he had never touched a piano, never touched a DAW, never made a single beat in his life. He once sang in a church choir at 13 and, by his own admission, could barely carry a tune. But here's the twist that starts this entire monster's origin story. David kept getting his montages copyright struck because he was using other artists' music in the background. Every clip he tried to upload got flagged. So he made a decision. A tiny, harmless little decision. He decided to make his own music, just so the copyright bots would leave him alone. Yeah. Read that again. A man now facing the death penalty wasn't chasing fame. He wasn't chasing power. He wasn't chasing legacy. He was chasing a few extra ad revenue dollars off a Fortnite compilation. That's how this whole thing started. That is the entry point to one of the most disturbing celebrity cases of this generation. A copyright strike on a gaming video. And here's where the internet fairytale part kicks in, because for a hot minute, it actually looked like a fairy tale. David's throwaway background track started catching on. Editors on TikTok started ripping his instrumentals for their edits. His clips got recommended. Then his songs got recommended. Then one of his tracks pulled 2.2 million views on YouTube in 2022 and, in case that number doesn't hit you yet, over 1.83 billion streams on Spotify alone. Billion. With a B. On a song made by a Fortnite kid who never wanted to be a musician in the first place. And within about a year, David went from posting building edits to opening for SZA. His records were placed inside Invincible and Arcane, two of the most talked about shows on the entire streaming universe. Brand deals started raining down. Monthly listeners on Spotify climbed into the tens of millions. Playlist placements got aggressive. Sync licenses started signing themselves. And then Fortnite, the game that started it, pulled him back in with an official collab, giving him an in-game skin, in-game sound, in-game everything. It was the perfect full-circle YouTube to Billboard story. That's the version of David the algorithm wanted you to know. That's the version his team was selling. That's the version that got him on late-night stages, in glossy magazine features, on every artist to watch list you scrolled past last year. And that is the version that made the next chapter of this story literally unbelievable to the general public when it broke. Because on a quiet night in September of 2025, LAPD officers were called to a Los Angeles Impound lot after workers reported an unbearable smell coming out of a Tesla that had been sitting there abandoned. The car had been towed in days earlier after it was reported ditched on a residential street. Officers cracked it open, and what they found inside changed everything. A body. Severely decomposed. Not intact. According to NBC News, the remains had been in that vehicle for what forensic examiners believe to be an extended period of time. The tag on the car came back registered to David. And within 24 hours, that name, the same name plastered across Spotify playlists, festival posters, Fortnite loading screens, Invincible end credits, Arcane trailer soundtracks, was linked to a corpse. Now here's what nobody could wrap their head around at first. David was on tour. Actively performing. Doing interviews. Smiling on stage. Not a suspect, not detained, not questioned publicly. And so when the story broke, the fanbase circled the wagons instantly. Streamers went live saying, he didn't do it. His collaborators laughed it off. The internet's exact quote, again and again, was, he's such a good guy. He sings like an angel. Why would he have a body in the back of his car? People were literally telling each other on live streams, thank God, because I was still going to listen to his music, I was just worried I'd be an idiot if I did. That is a real thing, a real fan said out loud on camera. Another one said, he literally performed the next day. If he was a suspect, the police would have been after him. That's how deep the parasocial spell was. That's how badly people wanted this to be a hoax. That's how many years of soft-spoken interviews, wholesome Fortnite clips, and pretty love songs it took to build a shield strong enough that a literal corpse in his own car couldn't break it. And then the tide turned. Slowly at first. Then all at once. Because the medical examiner released the identity of the body. And her name broke the internet in half. Celeste Rivas. 15 years old. Missing since April of 2024 out of Riverside County, when she was 13. 13. Let that land for a second. This wasn't a stranger. This wasn't a random victim of circumstance. This was a child who had been reported missing over a year before her body turned up in a Rising Stars Tesla. The medical examiner noted a tattoo on her right index finger, the letters SH. A woman claiming to be her mother contacted TMZ after seeing photos, saying it looked exactly like her daughter. And then somebody online noticed something that made the entire feed stop scrolling. David, the same David whose Tesla she was found inside, had a matching tattoo on his own finger. The same letters. In the same spot. On the same hand. That single detail was the moment the mood on the internet flipped from protect him to expose him. Because you can explain away a car. You can explain away an impound lot. You cannot explain away a matching tattoo on the finger of a missing 13-year-old and a grown adult male worth millions of dollars. And once the exposure phase started, the receipts came flooding out. Discord logs. TikTok comments. Screenshots. Old tweets. Threads and threads of buried digital breadcrumbs that had been sitting in public view for years while nobody was looking. One account, going by Angelazy, posted on September 17, barely 8 days after the initial story broke, a message reading, I have been trying to expose David since 2023. And attached to the tweet were Discord conversations discussing how David allegedly only added underage girls to his private Discord friends list. Not fans in general. Not adults. Specifically underage girls. Then more accounts came forward. Former members of David's private Discord server started dumping receipts on X, alleging patterns of behavior, weird messages, grooming-adjacent conversations, and a systematic pattern of who he allowed inside that server. This wasn't one anonymous accuser. This was dozens of them, all producing time-stamped evidence, all telling the same story, all describing the same private server operated by the same rising star. And then the Fearbug post dropped. A large X account posted what were labeled as TMZ-confirmed screenshots showing David allegedly paying off individuals to keep quiet about Celeste. Even that alone would have sounded thin, until researchers dug up an old TikTok from 10 full months before the body was ever found. In that TikTok, a random creator had said, quote, popular artist got caught giving thousands of dollars to kids. The video used one of David's own songs as the background audio. Which is exactly why nobody could re-upload it, the copyright system flagged everything. But the accusation had been sitting on the platform for nearly a year. And when the story blew up, the comments section on that ancient video filled with people saying, this guy was ahead of his time. Why did we not see this? A whole 10 months before a corpse was pulled out of an impound lot, somebody had already accused him in public. And the internet just kept scrolling past it. Because his beats slapped. Because his hooks were sticky. Because nobody wanted to be the first to say the thing that everybody would eventually be forced to say. Trust me, the deeper we go, the darker this gets. Because next, the internet sleuths went hunting through David's lyrics. And what they found in one of his tracks from December of 2023 chilled every single person who read it. The song contained lines directly referencing a girl named Celeste, describing the girl with the name tattooed on her chest, describing smelling her on his clothes, like cigarettes, describing an obsession, describing lines so grotesque I cannot say them in full here without this video being ripped down before you finish watching it. A song. A publicly released, streaming, profitable song. About a girl who at the time was legally a child. And this was released while she was still alive. While she was still missing. While her family was still looking for her. While she was, allegedly, still trapped in whatever situation the state now says he built around her. He wrote a song about her. He put it on Spotify. And millions of us streamed it, made edits to it, put it in our playlists, and never once asked who Celeste was. But the piece that finally broke the whole thing wide open was an account called Robin River. Because on February 26 of 2024, a full year and a half before the body was found, a full year and a half before LAPD even knew Celeste's name, Robin River commented on one of David's own TikTok videos, and the comment read exactly, "Waiting for LAPD to get you for messing with a 13-year-old girl." Waiting for LAPD. In 2024. Before anything had happened publicly. Before David had even been questioned. This comment was verified as real, still live at the time of investigation, and had climbed to more than 150,000 likes almost overnight once the world realized what it said. The account attached to it? No posts. No profile picture. No history. Just a spam shell account that gained over 200,000 followers within days as everybody online tried to figure out who Robin River actually was. Nobody has ever confirmed the identity. Nobody knows how they knew. But that comment is the single most damning piece of prophetic internet evidence I have ever personally seen in a celebrity criminal case. Somebody, somewhere, knew. And they tried to warn us. And we did nothing. Because it looked like just another hater comment on just another rising artist's page. And now a 15-year-old girl is dead. And still, at this point, David hadn't been arrested. That's the part that made the internet lose its mind. Because for months, the case went dark. No indictment. No press conference. No statement from David's team beyond a fog of cancelled tour dates and disappearing shows. He simply stopped being seen. And into that silence, the theories poured. The rumors escalated. The digital vigilantes went deeper. Twitter threads grew into 10,000-word Google Docs. Reddit forums became evidence archives. TikTokers built entire content careers documenting the case in real time. But it wasn't until July of 2026 that the real bombshell dropped, and this time it wasn't from a Discord leaker. It was from the court filings themselves. According to prosecutors, David allegedly first met Celeste through Fortnite and Discord, the same platforms he had been using since he was a teenager himself. She was still a child. He was on the doorstep of adulthood. And prosecutors say the alleged relationship didn't stop when her family caught wind of it. When Celeste's parents confiscated her phone to cut off contact, prosecutors claimed David paid another student around $1,000 to secretly hand her a replacement device so they could keep talking. That is the level of premeditation the state is alleging. That is not a mistake. That is not a moment of weakness. That is a system. That is a grown man with resources, with fame, with money, allegedly buying his way past a child's own parents to keep the contact alive. Read that back and try to tell me this looks like anything except calculated, sustained, adult decision-making. From there, prosecutors say the two continued spending time together across 2024, including weekends at his Holiday Hills home and reported trips to Las Vegas, London, and Texas. Trips. Plural. Across state lines. Across country lines. With a child. While her family thought she was gone. Think about that. Think about airports. Think about hotels. Think about the number of adults who saw them, checked them in, sold them coffee, sat across from them on planes, and never asked a single question. Think about how many silent bystanders it takes to keep something like that hidden. And by late 2024, according to the filings, the situation was deteriorating. In March of 2025, prosecutors say Celeste sent David a text that read, "All we do is have sex and just hang out, man. I want more than that for myself." She was trying to leave. She was a child, and she was trying to leave. Then on April 22, 2025, prosecutors alleged the two got into a lengthy fight where Celeste threatened to expose everything, to blow up his career, to end his life as he knew it. And according to the timeline released to the court, Celeste was last known to be alive around April 23. One day later. One day. Prosecutors also say that the messages recovered between David and Celeste referenced sex, pregnancy, abortion, and Plan B emergency contraception, all while the alleged victim was under 14 years old at the time the abuse is said to have started. This isn't ambiguous. This isn't emotional. This is the state accusing an adult of a physical, ongoing pattern of abuse and control against a child. And every single one of those messages is now inside a courtroom binder waiting to be read out loud in front of 12 jurors. But the timeline is what will haunt you. Because looking at the state's own dates, in the same window Celeste is said to have died, David released an entire album. He did radio press. He filmed a music video for a track called One More Dance, and in that music video, and I promise you I am not making this up, he depicts himself loading a bloodied body into the trunk of a car. Read that back. He filmed it. He performed it. He released it. He shot promo photos next to it. He did press junkets about it. And then, according to Amazon records pulled by investigators, in the exact same window, he allegedly ordered 2 chainsaws. He allegedly ordered a body bag. He allegedly ordered heavy-duty laundry bags. He allegedly ordered a large blue inflatable pool. And he allegedly ordered a burn cage, a device used to incinerate material, all under a fake name so nothing would trace back to him. This isn't grief. This isn't a coincidence. This is what prosecutors are describing as a coordinated, deliberate, methodical attempt to destroy evidence while the industry around him kept booking shows and cashing checks. On top of all of that, investigators reportedly recovered more than 40 terabytes of digital data connected to David, a staggering number in any criminal case. 40 terabytes. That is not casual storage. That is not iCloud backup. That is an archive. Inside that data, they say they found explicit images and videos involving Celeste, along with what they describe as a significant amount of illegal material stored on his personal devices. 40 terabytes. Of a life he was hiding while the algorithm made him famous. 40 terabytes of a parallel universe where the sweet Fortnite kid who accidentally became a Spotify billionaire allegedly kept a private archive of horrors none of us were supposed to see. In April of 2026, David was finally arrested. Booked without bail. Charged with first-degree capital murder, a charge that, if it holds, carries either life without parole or the death penalty. And a lot of you online kept asking for months, why didn't they arrest him earlier? This is why. Because they were building a case so airtight that no defense team on earth could tear it down. They weren't playing internet detective. They were locking every door, sealing every window, and stacking every receipt so that when they finally moved, they moved once and moved decisively. And yet, despite everything the state has produced, the Amazon orders, the 40 terabytes, the tattoo match, the Discord leaks, the resurfaced comments, the song lyrics, the fake name burn cage, the international trips, the paid burner phone, the "I want more than that for myself" text 1 month before her death, David has pleaded not guilty. Not guilty. To capital murder. That is where we are. That is the position his defense is taking into a jury box. That is what the family of a 15-year-old girl is now going to have to sit and listen to as the trial unfolds. And I wish I could tell you that's where this story ends until a courtroom decides. But it isn't. Because just days ago, an entirely new song appeared on David's official Spotify account. A track titled Marcessence, a word that in botanical language refers to something that has withered but not yet fallen away. Something dead but still hanging on. The song was up for about 8 hours before it was quietly ripped down. And the lyrics, which the internet had already screenshotted, backed up, and rebroadcast in bulk, contain the following lines: "I hide my face from you, my lies conceal the truth, but what are you going to do if you don't have the proof? Who said I even knew? And later, stop wasting my time whenever you cry, it's so obvious you can't handle what you know you signed up for. And it closes on a repeating chorus of the phrase, I think she knows. I think she knows. Read those lines slow. Read them like the prosecution is going to read them at trial. Read them and try to convince yourself they're about anyone else. Investigators tracking the leak have since confirmed that the track wasn't new, it was actually an unreleased song, originally titled, I Think She Knows, recorded on March 4 of 2025, during what fans call his withered sessions. It had leaked online in April of this year. And then, out of nowhere, someone uploaded it to his official Spotify page while he is sitting behind bars awaiting trial for the alleged killing of the girl the song is aimed at. Nobody has publicly claimed responsibility for the upload. His team hasn't commented. The label hasn't commented. It vanished from the platform within hours, but not before every corner of the internet had already downloaded, ripped, mirrored, and re-uploaded it in full. Because obviously David himself couldn't have released it, he is in a jail cell. So who did? A rogue employee? An old scheduling glitch? Someone inside his camp panicking? Someone inside his camp taunting? A leaker with access? A former engineer selling one last piece of the archive? Nobody knows. And that is the exact kind of hanging question that keeps a case like this alive in the culture long after the courtroom closes. And that is the David case as it stands. A Fortnite kid who wanted a few extra dollars on his montages, who accidentally became one of the most streamed artists of a generation, who was allegedly living a double life that was documented in his own lyrics, in his own Discord server, in his own Amazon orders, in his own music videos, in his own private archive of 40 terabytes, and who is now facing the possibility of the death penalty for the alleged murder of a 15-year-old girl whose body was pulled out of his own Tesla. A girl who somebody named Robin River tried to warn the entire internet about 18 months before it happened. A girl who told him, in her own words, I want more than this for myself, 1 month before she disappeared. A girl whose name was already sitting inside one of his songs while millions of us hummed along to it in our cars. A girl who deserved a lot more than the ending she got. So I'll leave you with this. Do we call David a monster who slipped through the cracks of an algorithm that was too busy pumping his songs to protect the people around him, or do we admit that the internet was screaming the truth about him for years while we all scrolled past because his beat slapped? Drop your verdict down below, tell me who you think uploaded that Marcessence track from inside his camp while he sits in jail, and if you want the next chapter of this case the moment it drops, you already know where to find me. Because this one is nowhere near over.